If you're just joining us, this is 726 in Harrison, Arkansas, and we're glad that you're joining us. With us is Eric Stefanski, representing the Ozark Arts Council. His daughter, Jules Hamblin, is the executive director, and you are a jack of all trades because you do everything,
I've
in and outside.
I've learned a lot of things.
I bet you have.
Never knew before how to replumb a urinal, but we've done that.
So if you're in need of a replumbing a urinal, I guess you can call Eric. Right?
If people would just put more urinals in their homes, I could be of use to people.
There you go. You want to talk to us about some of the things that are going on with the Ozark Arts Council?
I could.
Would you
or
please?
something else?
Would you like to talk about something
No,
else?
we'd love for you to talk to us.
We've got so much coming up. It's just, again, a full spring. We've got, of course, some musical comedy about nuns, which has nobody that we know in it, apparently.
Sounds like a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, exactly.
It's
Or
bunch of
nonsense. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was it.
It's
yes.
habit humor.
Yes.
Habit humor.
It's
right
in fact the web page for Nonsense is up as of this morning on the OAC site.
Okay.
So folks can simply go to thelyric.org, and that will there will be a thing scrolling across the screen, bunch of pictures. Click at the bottom of any of those, and that'll take you to the page specifically about that event. Nonsense, of course, comes up the 10th and 11th, 17th and 18th of March, and which is great to have a play about nuns coming up on St. Patrick's Day. So we're hoping that will draw some more folks in.
It's a fun comedy, let me just say. There's
Are
only
you
5
involved?
of us in the cast.
Oh, you're in the
I
cast.
am in the
That's right,
cast,
yeah.
and it's quite humorous.
Yeah, that was why I had the insult earlier about
Yeah.
You knocked me over with that
Yeah,
sucker.
so-
Anyway, I'm Sister Robert Ann. But anyway, I'm sure we'll talk more about that when it's closer to time.
And it with that tight of a cast, you end up with sometimes better interpersonal relationships, or at least the chemistry that develops on set carries extra humor then. Not that a large cast is bad or anything like that. It's just that sometimes that intensity of a small cast, you think with a drama, the intensity and so on, like back when Michael Mahoney of North Ark wrote his Breathe, Brother, Breathe, which was just 2 men in the cast. But with comedy, it can be the same way because the intensity of the relationships, that affects the timing. And, to be able to have the entire cast on the same page that way. So I think we're looking for a great musical comedy.
There's
that
a
way.
lot of audience interaction as well, so we're breaking that fourth wall that you learn not to break.
Not to
but
break,
it's a lot of fun. So anyway,
It was funny. The New York Times said, like Holy Mother Church, Nonsense is an institution on its own.
definitely.
So, there is a Nonsense store.
Right.
We've got a link on the web page for Nonsense now on our deal to 2 videos of on the Nonsense YouTube channel and so on. Before we actually get to Nonsense, though, we've got 2 concerts. It's February 8th and February 13th. We've got on February 8th Ordinary Elephant, which, if you pay attention to the Kerrville Folk Festival and the Folk Alliance and so on, you hear about. If you don't pay attention to stuff like that, you're missing out on a lot of great acts. And one of the great things for us here in town is that Aaron Smith is very tuned in to everything going on at Kerrville. And so Aaron said, hey, we've got to have Ordinary Elephant, and he got them booked for us. And of course, Carrie and Stefan Zabo are going to be their opening act. They bill themselves as a nomadic roots folk duo. Basically, they sold everything to go around playing music. It's like, well, we had this and this, but now we just have music. So all we've got is music and each other, and I think they have 1 or 2 dogs, but that's it. And so they're actually stopping here on their way up to the Folk Alliance in Kansas City, and it's one of our OAC hashtags, only at the Lyric. This is the only place in Arkansas they're playing now. It may be the only place they play this year, unless people from other venues come to the concert at the Lyric and say, hey, we've got to book them.
Okay.
We are just in that particular range, having 350 plus seats. that we can get in some performers for a little less guarantee than a bigger venue, which makes them more affordable and more able to be had here. On the other hand, it also allows us to bring in people that, say, bars and restaurants couldn't afford. Because, again, if you only have 50 people or 100 people paying for a band to come in and that sort of thing, it's not typically going to make it. So Ordinary Elephant is a Kerrville Folk Festival winner, Folk Alliance winner, and so on. Of course, that's a Thursday evening. The following Tuesday evening, which again, why Tuesday evening? Well, Eric Bibb was here on a Tuesday evening, and we got 250 people. So this is another guy of the Eric Bibb stature, not only nationally and internationally, but in Harrison. Ray Bonneville, who Ray has been here 3 times, I think, previously, and everybody has loved the concerts. Ray is he's a great poet as far as his lyrics go, but not a flowery poet. It's just very honest, sometimes brutally so. One of his old songs from back 2003, 2004, Roll with the Punches, not to be confused with the REO Speedwagon song, the same thing.
Right.
But it was basically, you don't want to talk to me for some reason, and here it is. And he just cuts out all the extraneous stuff and gets right to it. At the same time, he's playing usually electric guitar, finger-picking style, harmonica, and he realized, I guess at some point, that he was stomping his foot a lot. So instead of just stomping it on the floor, he actually puts percussion beneath him as well.
Okay.
So
is he a
He's
storyteller
quite fun
too?
to watch,
he is,
I gotta say.
absolutely, absolutely, and both with the songs and with his stuff in between them as well. It's funny. Juliana said, "So is he coming by himself or with a band?" I said, "Ray is the band.
Is the band.
That's it."
He is the band.
So I mean,
And that's the following Tuesday, right?
following Tuesday, February 13th at 7.
Okay.
And so tickets for Ordinary Elephant and Ray Bonneville and Nonsense, and the Friday after Nonsense, the return of Albert Cummings, all are on sale now. In fact, I think Charlotte's Web tickets are on sale now, which is in May. Tickets for, speaking of May, Lawless in May, Nashville's 2017 fan favorite duo in Nashville. They're coming April 6th or 5th. Look at our website. It's Friday or Saturday after Easter, one or the other. That first weekend of Easter. Lawless in May, like classic country duets. And so we're trying to bring in that broad spectrum. We've been billing the lyric as what it has become, the roots music palace of the Ozarks. This is a place that folks who are doing roots music, whether that be folk-oriented or blues-oriented, because all of that whole wide span comes under that roots music umbrella, they love performing here. They love the ambiance of the theater, the acoustics of the theater, and just the reception that they get from Harrison crowds. When you have someone like Eric Bibb say, I've been thinking it's just been too long since I've been back. Of course, we're hoping he's thinking that now because he's not scheduled in the U.S. this year at all yet. And we have a letter into FLI, which is his booking agency, saying, it's been 3 years. It's our turn. If I need to fly to Scandinavia to get him, just let me know. I'm up for a trip to Sweden. It's not a big deal. But at any rate, again, Ray Bonneville is of that same sort of level in the way that people respond to his concerts. Albert Cummings, again, this is a guy who does basically Texas blues. He was a little small-handed as a child, and his dad gave him a banjo when he wanted to play guitar, and so he became a bluegrass banjo picker who then saw Stevie Ray Vaughan when he was in college and said, no, I've got to get back to the guitar as well. And so he's got that whole broad sensibility as well of everything from country to blues through Texas blues, to where he's playing historical stuff as well as his own compositions. That his guitar work is just outstanding.
Lots of good concerts coming up there.
And then summer is an entirely different thing.
Summer is going to be interesting this year, in that it was already going to be interesting with School of Rock Junior. And then apparently School of Rock Junior is going on tour or something because they
boy.
pulled all the licensing off the web. But that's okay because that just means we'll fill it with something else.
Right.
We've got everything from big band that wants to come to, well, the St. Louis Brass Band wants to come. One of the things that we're working on, and this is one of those places where you say, we've got to have sponsors for this. So any businesses that want to sponsor, come on and visit with us. Roy Gaines would like to come here. Roy Gaines was Ray Charles's guitarist. And he didn't start doing solo work until about 2003, 2004, which is, 14 years ago, which means he was in his mid-60s when he started doing solo work. But he has covered everything as he's played in various groups and played with Ray Charles, everything from rockabilly to blues to big band stuff. His current full band with orchestration he calls Tuxedo Blues, and it's a big band blues band, so 9, 10, 11 people. His guitar work, again, fantastic, and composition as well. But one of our returning residents who had been away for a while and came back, Florence, I'm sorry, I have a friend in California named Florence Missildine, and I keep getting Frances Middleton and her name crossed up. And it's like, every third time I start to say something about Frances, I have to apologize for calling her by the wrong name. But she and Mr. Gaines were friends there in California, and she said, you've got to listen to this guy. And so I'm listening to the CDs, and it's like, yeah, we've got to get him. And he said, oh, I'd love to come to Harrison. But with the guarantee for a band that big, you're looking at more money than we on the OAC board would typically want to risk. And so, like I say, business sponsorship is the way to go. And, the funny thing is people will sponsor, say, a big name country artist or something for one event, and they get a little bit of advertising for a month. For the amount of money that you spend on that, you could sponsor through the OAC 5 or 6 concerts and have your name in front of the public all year long. And that's, again, same thing with business memberships at the OAC, where we take your logo and we put it into an animated GIF, not a bad animated GIF, one that just does logos, and we have your name in all of our playbills and your name on our website and so on, and complete with a link to your business, to your business's website. Membership in the OAC and sponsoring concerts gets you a lot of continuous advertising and gets it to where when people look up something about the arts in this area, you end up with your business also showing up in the listings. And so it's multiple value that way as well. One of the things right now that we're looking at, sponsorship or gift wise, is the new heat and air conditioning unit that's going in this week.
That's for the annex, right?
For the annex, yes. The original air conditioning unit for the annex was donated used with the stipulation, understand you're going to have to replace this. And the condensation started dripping in on the floor when nobody was going up in the upstairs at the annex and ruined the floor. So we noted that, got buckets up there and whatever so it wouldn't ruin it worse while we contemplated how best to fix it. And in the meantime, the week after Christmas, the heater went out in the annex. And so we did our due diligence and got bids and so on. And actually, Ken Allen, who donated the original unit, said, hey, I can replace this for, he gave us a great price. It comes up to about $11,000. And it hit just at the time that we were about to start a fundraising emphasis anyway. In 2019, it's the 90th anniversary of the Lyric Theater, 20th anniversary of the OAC's owning the theater. And so we thought we would do a 90 for 90 campaign. We'd like to have 90 new OAC members by 2019, and we'd like to raise an additional $90,000 in gifts and grants and whatever other way to celebrate the 90th anniversary and to really have everything in top gear by the time we hit the 100th anniversary. And 2029.
Right.
And at any rate, we came up with the understanding that if we had 90 people donate $90 each, we'd have pretty much all of this air conditioning wiped out.
Yeah.
So we were able to go ahead and start the process simply because we've managed to cut expenses and run things to the point that our line of credit has been at zero for a year and a half, which had not
That's
happened
huge.
previously.
Huge.
And so we basically maxed it out as of this week. And but we've made such progress the last few years that we think we can continue to keep on this roll. And really, all it really takes for us to do that is folks saying, yeah, we want to support the theater.
Support it.
Yeah.
And even more than just the gifts, saying, we're going to come to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Lawrence Juber will be back in September, last lead guitarist of Paul McCartney's Wings.
Mm-hmm.
And when LJ was here last time, he did a basically all acoustic set. And I still, Mary Bishop said, if you would have honestly told me what he was going to do, I wouldn't have come. But I wouldn't miss him if he comes
Oh,
back.
he's so good.
And I mean, that's just it. When you don't necessarily know whether you're going to like it or not when you're dealing with live performance. If you've never seen a live play and go, I don't know if I'd like what this storyline's about, sometimes it's not the storyline. It's the individual performances within that storyline, the interaction when something goes wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
My favorite moment in all the plays I've seen at the Lyric is something where my daughter was only tangentially involved. Both of them were somewhere on the stage when this happened, but it was that the map on the wall fell, and Lisa Johnson just calmly caught it and put it back into place. And it's just like that. Yeah, that's what it is. And too, when you're doing things like shooting photos of the plays, or you simply have been hearing your daughters go through lines for 2 months, and you know what's supposed to happen, and you see somebody miss, and then somebody else recover, and just the appreciation that you learn for that, the skill level that is demonstrated in our local theater, skill level beyond what I've seen often at professional theaters elsewhere, and part of that is sometimes when you're doing it professionally, you're, well, I blew this line. When you care about it, it is, yeah, I blew this line, but nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
We're going to make it better.
You're going to have to come back when some of and talk again about the 90 for 90.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's do
and
that.
some of this other. Right now we're running probably a little
Yeah,
short
we
on
are.
time,
Yeah.
and we've got one more guest. But thank you for all that. That was a lot of
Sure.
information.
But
He's going to come back and kind of.
in a short amount of time for
Was.
me, because you know how I
Eric
am.
likes to
We
talk.
all know how
Just
you
a
are,
little,
Eric.
yeah.
It's good.
But
Good.
we
All
need to
support
finish
the
up.
Lyric,
But anyway,
and if you want
yes,
more
please.
information about the scheduling, go to the Lyric
The
Harrison.
lyric, just the lyric.org.
Okay.
Yeah, because
lyric.org.
people kept putting 2 S's or 1 R
Oh,
in
okay.
Harrison. TheLyric.org. Make sure you get the, or you go to this school out on the East Coast.
Okay.
But TheLyric.org.
Good deal.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Eric. We'll be right back. We're going to be going with Wanda Massengale and her
Her friend.
friend. We'll find out who her friend is when we come back. Stay with us.